They called her too small. Too small to march in line. Too small to fight a war. Too small to carry the weight of a rifle that seemed bigger than her. From the very first day she stepped onto the training ground, the laughter started. "Kid, are you lost?" someone said. Another chuckled. "You need a booster seat for that weapon?" Even the sergeant shook his head and muttered loud enough for everyone to hear, "You won't last a week here." But Emily didn't answer with words. She simply lowered her gaze, tightened her grip on the rifle, and kept moving. Her silence said more than their laughter ever could. What they didn't know was that every insult, every smirk, every doubting look was fuel. When the barracks lights went out, when the others rested, Emily trained. She ran the laps again in the cold night air. She broke down her rifle piece by piece until she could reassemble it blindfolded. She fired until her hands blistered, and when they bled, she taped them up and fired again. She knew she wasn't the biggest. She knew she wasn't the loudest. But she also knew one truth. Size doesn't measure strength. Heart does. Weeks passed, and still, the laughter followed her like a shadow. But Emily carried hers in silence. She wasn't there to prove them wrong in words. She was waiting for the moment to prove them wrong in action. That moment came sooner than anyone expected. One night, her unit was sent into a ruined compound, deep in hostile territory. It was supposed to be routine, secure the site, hold position, wait for extraction. But routine turned into disaster. Gunfire erupted from every direction. The enemy had been waiting for them. Bullets ripped through walls, dust filled the air, and panic spread like wildfire. Radios screamed for backup, but the answer came back cold. No help was coming. The soldiers, the same ones who had laughed at her, now sat pinned against crumbling walls, trapped and helpless. Even the sergeant who mocked her had his head in his hands, whispering, "We're not making it out." But Emily didn't freeze. She saw something they couldn't see. Through the chaos, she noticed cracks in the wall, holes in the rubble, tiny gaps no one else could squeeze through. For her, it was a path. She tightened her helmet, gripped her rifle, and whispered to herself the words that burned inside her since day one. "Too small? Watch this." She dropped low and crawled into the darkness. Bullets cracked inches above her head. Shards of stone tore her sleeves. But she kept moving. The enemy never expected anyone to come from behind. They never thought the smallest soldier could slip through their lines. One by one, she moved like a shadow, striking silent and precise. Every shot she took was clean. Every step forward was survival. Minutes later, the impossible had happened. The heavy gunfire that had trapped her unit was gone. The air felt eerily quiet. Back in the compound, the soldiers sat in stunned silence. Then, out of the smoke, Emily appeared, her uniform torn, helmet scratched, rifle steady in her hands. For a long moment, no one spoke. The sergeant, who once sneered at her every morning, was the first to find his voice. His words came out almost as a whisper. "How?" Emily's eyes locked with his. Her face was calm, but her voice was firm. "Too small? Not tonight." From that night forward, the laughter stopped. The jokes ended. The smallest soldier had become the largest presence in the room. Emily didn't just prove she belonged. She proved that sometimes the strongest warrior isn't the loudest or the biggest, but the one with the fire no one sees until it's too late. Her story spread across camps and bases, whispered in training grounds, told to new recruits who doubted themselves. It became a lesson etched into military legend, that strength isn't about inches or pounds. It's about heart. It's about courage. And it's about refusing to let the world decide your limits. They called her too small, but on the night, her platoon's survival hung in the balance. She was larger than them all, and her story became the answer to every recruit who ever asked, "Do I have what it takes?" The answer was simple. Yes, if Emily did it, so can you, because sometimes the smallest soldier carries the heaviest fight.